What's up guys, my name is Andrew, also known as Wandy the Maker, and this is Upcycled. I'm all about DIY fashion and using upcycling to construct or reconstruct garments. Whether it's hopping on new trends or experimenting with new styles, there's nothing more satisfying than creating your own piece of clothing that nobody else has. In today's episode, we're gonna be making a bucket hat out of some scrap fabric, and if you're anything like me and have a lot of scraps laying around, this is a great project to put them to use. So, let's get into it. All you're gonna need for this project is some sewing pins, the scrap fabric, and something to cut with. I'm just gonna take one piece, lay it out flat, and then just cut. These are scraps I have laying around from a previous project, and I like cutting these pieces into different sizes because it just gives the finished product a little bit more of an irregular look. So now that we have all our pieces cut out, we're just gonna start by arranging them. We're making our sheet about 24 by 24 inches. And I have a camo print and a solid print, and I'm just gonna kind of alternate those to give it that patchwork vibe. We can go ahead and start sewing them together. So you're just gonna take two pieces, place them right sides together, and we're just gonna do a straight stitch along this side, leaving about a 1/4 inch of seam allowance, and I'm doing a back stitch at the beginning and end of the seam to lock it in place. I'm just gonna continue this process for the rest of the pieces. I like using scraps because you already have that material laying around, and it's promoting sustainable fashion and not letting anything go to waste. We're just piecing it together little by little, and the sheet does not need to be a perfect square because we're gonna be cutting it anyways. So now that we have our sheet made, we're gonna go ahead and start cutting the pattern pieces out. So the pattern that I have is one where you cut along the fold. So I'm just gonna fold it over just like this, making sure I have enough room for my pattern pieces. We're gonna start with the top part of the hat. I'm just gonna place it right on the fold here, and we're ready to cut it out. We're gonna do the same thing for these other pattern pieces, and we're actually gonna cut 2 of these side pieces, and we're cutting 2 of these brim pieces. Take these 2 side pieces right here, and lay them right sides together, and you can pin down this side, or just hold it. Alrighty, and we're just gonna do that same thing on the other side. Now that we've sewn that body piece together, we're gonna attach it to the top piece. And we're gonna make sure that the top is attached to this smaller curve here so it can fit your head. We're gonna start pinning right sides together, and we're gonna work all the way around. And since I'm sewing a curve like this, I'm just taking my time and making sure that the edges are still lined up. And now we have a bucket with no brim. We're gonna do that same process on the brim and line them up right sides together. And now we can attach this brim to the top part of the hat. Go on the inside of this circle and the bottom part of the hat and just place them right sides together. And we're gonna pin all the way around. Now that we have it pinned up, we can go ahead and sew it together. And once again, using a straight stitch with a 1/4 inch of seam allowance, and we're gonna sew all the way around. I know these seams look crazy right now, but we're gonna fix that with our other lining piece that will make the hat reversible. This is what the outside of the hat's gonna look like. And we're gonna repeat that process with those lining pieces, and you'll get something like this. And now it's time to combine the 2 together. So we're gonna turn one inside out, and we're gonna kind of lay it on top of the other hat, which is facing the correct way. I'm just gonna make sure it's in there. And then we're gonna line up the edge of the brim and pin it together. We're gonna sew a straight stitch all the way around, but we're gonna leave a 2-inch opening so we can turn the hat right side out. We're just gonna start pulling it through. And as you can see, these seams along the brim kind of like to tuck in on some places, so I'm just gonna pinch them out with my fingers and then iron it just so we get the full width of the brim. I'm gonna start sewing right at this opening that we left open so we can go ahead and secure that. All right, and there it is, a bucket hat made out of scrap fabric, and this is completely reversible. And now that you have your pattern made, you can experiment with different materials, styles, and designs. So let's see how this one looks. And here's how it turned out. A bucket hat made completely out of scraps. And you can play around with different materials for this hat. You can use a shower curtain, old t-shirts, literally anything. So go ahead and get your scraps and try it out yourself. Once again, I'm Wandy the Maker, and I'll catch you back here for the next episode of Upcycled.